way, the late 1970s, early 1980s saw the punk movement. And around 1975, off the back of the glam rock era. And in New York City, the rock bands were now being pushed aside. A new young music manager called Malcolm McLaren picked out a rock band called the New York Dolls, dressed them in red leather patent and ran with a new idea. Fortunately, a month after that they broke up, but the punk aesthetic idea had set. Malcolm and his girlfriend Vivienne Westwood had their own style idea, and whenever a music movement comes together with a fashion style, a movement is born. With their anti-establishment ideas, the punk era was born. The word punk comes from the 1500s and was first used by Shakespeare to denote a female prostitute. But later in the 1600s it became a slang word for a male gangster. A year before the New York Dolls, McLaren and Westwood had redesigned their rock shop that was in Chelsea in London. He called it Sex, and the motto above the door read, "Craft must have clothes, but truth loves to go naked." And the inner was designed with things like chicken wire, graffiti, leatherware, fetish wear. Soon, upcoming musicians like the Sex Pistols, Adamant, and Susie Sue of the Banshees all shopped there, setting a new music trend. So Malcolm McLaren was now the manager of the Sex Pistols, and of course, like any sort of on-the-edge fashion throughout history that has started, caused an outcry, and it was actually labelled anti-fashion. Later on, the fashion designer Jean-Paul Gaultier took his androgynous look down the catwalk, and his kilt-inspired man skirts took off. And it was Zandra Rhodes who actually modified the punk fashion for the street person. She had now neatly put in strategic zips and rips and studs. And in 1981, McLaren and Westwood had their first catwalk, calling it Pirate. From this, more stylised creations started to emerge, and this is what formed a new fashion called New Romanticism. Let's have a look at some of the original punk style for the man on the street, where charity shops were a godsend. Of course, we have to have zips. And this is where ripped clothing all started. Plenty of studs everywhere, and lots of badges showing your political views. Military style footwear like the Doc Marten, provocative slogans and t-shirts with political statements, and of course the good old mohawk hairstyle or Mohican. Studded chokers, piercings of course that shock and make a statement, and lots of leather and tartan was all the fashion, even in skirts for women and men too. Hope you've enjoyed another historical fashion story. If you have, do join me again next time for the next one. Take care now, bye!